So non-violent economy is local economy. That was Gandhi's idea. So, so globalization of today is a very violent kind of trading, and therefore we promote local economy as an expression of non-violence. Then the Gandhi had another idea of Swaraj, which is local self-government, and the self-government has to be decentralized. The government centralized in London or in Paris or in New Delhi or in Beijing, controlling hundreds of thousands or millions of people, that cannot be a non-violent system of governance. So what will be a non-violent government? That is a challenge that Mahatma Gandhi presented to the world. And he said, if you want to create a non-violent government, it has to be small and local. Swaraj, self-government. So I have to look after myself and govern myself, my habits and my actions. I have to govern, and then I extend that to my local community. So Totnes and this area become my local community. Then that extends to Devon, and then extends to England maybe, or then extends to so maximum power at the local level and minimum power at the top level. So at the top level will be world government like UN, and that will sort of decide a few things which relate to international situation. But majority of decisions will be made at local level, decentralized governance, self-governance, and so that Mahatma Gandhi called Swaraj, and so Sarvodaya, Swadeshi, Swaraj, three things. And all these three based in ahimsa, which is non-violence. So non-violent social order, non-violent political order, non-violent economic order makes Sarvodaya, and that makes spiritual. So spirituality is not in a kind of Zen Buddhism or a kind of Tibetan Buddhism or Christian tradition or this or that. He is saying that the spirituality is how you live politically, economically, socially. And I think that's quite a revolutionary idea because mostly people have thought in the world in historical terms spirituality as something personal, something I do in my personal life. But when it comes to social, economic, political sphere of governance, of business, of trading, then it's not spirituality. Spirituality is more personal. Non-violence is more personal. But when it comes to governance or economic order or social order, non-violence doesn't work. So that has been a kind of traditional religious belief. But Mahatma Gandhi said that no, that is not quite enough. Spirituality in personal life, not enough. We have to have a spirituality in social life, political life, and economic life. And that was a great challenge for me. So I thought that perhaps we can have a little discussion about how we bring spirituality, as you said, in organizations. That's a test of spirituality. Can you bring that into organization? Can we run Schumacher College on spiritual principles? That is a great challenge. And the spirituality is where there is no hierarchy. You are not controlling others, but you are in the service of others. So the moment you start to control and administration and management, that becomes violence. The non-violent is not administration, not management, not control, but service. So everything you do, cooking is service, cleaning is service, washing up is service, gardening is service. You do it for service to others. And why you do service to others? Because that brings you joy. That brings you pleasure. When you make me a cup of tea and I say thank you for making a cup of tea for me, you say, don't worry, it's my pleasure. You take pleasure in making a cup of tea for me. That is spirituality. The moment you say that I do it because I'm paid for it. I do it because the boss has told me to make tea for somebody, put the breakfast out. That's not spirituality. Spirituality is when you do with pleasure, with a sense of service, with a sense of generosity, and a sense of openness. Then is spirituality. And so this is what Mahatma Gandhi said, that all work we do should become spirituality because you are doing it for your pleasure in the service of the others. But in the service of others should give you pleasure. And therefore, you are bringing profession and vocation together. At the moment, profession is a separate, vocation is separate. Vocation you do in the weekends. You do your gardening, or you do walking, or you do some painting, or you write some poetry for the weekend. But your profession, from 9 to 5, you go and work for a banker, or for an accountant, or for a solicitor, or for a hospital, or something. That's your profession. So Mahatma Gandhi said that the profession and vocation must come together. When profession and vocation are together, then you are doing service. And so that to me is a very beautiful and very holistic philosophy. And if you have not studied the ideas and philosophy of Mahatma Gandhi, I can really recommend you to read whatever you can find in your own languages, in your countries. If you can find, he represents a kind of holistic worldview which has inspired me and informed my way of thinking and my way of working. And to some extent, Schumacher College and the small school are an expression of a kind of Gandhian and also Rabindranath Tagore and Tagorean way of doing things and seeing the world. A brief introduction to Gandhian values, spirituality in everyday life. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Satish, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When you were saying about, so you were giving about the introduction to Gandhi's thoughts, you said that when we start to manage things,
Yeah.
it can become
Violence,
violent.
yeah.
Yeah. How to manage the society without, so that proper management,
Yeah.
you know, so without hierarchy, because I worked for a big company, for example, and there were general managers, and engineers that were
Hierarchy.
hierarchy.
Yeah.
How to manage, how to make things work without management.
Yeah. What Gandhian idea was that it should be self-managed, self-management, self-governance, people practicing self-discipline and coming together in a spirit of community. And so we are all together and we say, how should we organize our college? Or how should we organize our company? So I say, I am able to cook. You say, I'm able to garden. You say, I can look after kind of emails. You say, I can look after maybe marketing. You say, I can look after maybe welcoming guests. So we share and we say, we will do this, we will do this, we will do this. And then we make a list of all those things and we take responsibility upon ourselves. So non-violent form of organization is more self-governance, self-organizing, self-managing. Like, how does system of the earth, Gaia system, work? In Gaia system, there is no prime minister, there is no president, there is no director, there is no CEO, there is no manager. Nobody is telling tree how to give oxygen and how to take carbon. Nobody is telling tree how to give wood or give apples or give something. Nobody. So, nobody telling soil that you should grow seeds into plants and plants into trees and trees into fruit and fruit into juice. Nobody. So as a nature is self-governing, self-organizing, self-healing, self-managing system, humanity should learn from nature and organize ourselves in a self-managing, self-governing, self-healing system. If we can do that, then everybody will be fulfilled and nobody will say, somebody telling me how to do. And then I cannot use my creativity, I cannot use my improvisation, I cannot use my imagination because I have to do what my boss has told me to do. But I have imagination, I have creativity, I can improvise. If I'm told all the time what to do, then I have no chance to grow and develop my imagination and creativity. So Gandhian idea was that maximum amount of organization should be self-organizing, self-managing, self-correcting, and self-healing. Even if something goes wrong, healing must be happening there, self-healing. So, so you create a network and you come together. In Schumacher College, to some extent, we do that. It's a very little hierarchy. William, we have every Tuesday and every Thursday meeting. Yeah, and in the meeting, all the staff come together, and we say, I mean, I haven't not been attending the meeting because now I'm taking less and less responsibilities at the college. I just come and just be here, without doing anything. I don't do any much. But people who are here, they meet every twice a week, and they say who is doing what and how can we do together. And so it's largely self-organizing system at Schumacher College. So in order to do that, you need to maintain your organization small scale. The moment you become very large, 200 people, 500 people, 1,000 people, some companies have 5,000 people, 10,000 people like Tesco's or BP or McDonald's or Coca-Cola. How can you have a non-violent organization? So the very factor that they are so big that they cannot be self-organizing, self-managing, and allowing their workers and staff to use their imagination, use their creativity, use their improvisation, that's violent. So Schumacher, who was inspired by Gandhi, said, keep your organization small. I always keep telling my staff here, people here, that keep Schumacher College small. Don't allow it to become too big. The moment it becomes too big, you will have hierarchy, much more, and you will have to control. So keep it small. So if you have 50, 100 people, you can organize self. So self-organizing system is the key, and it is there in nature. Only the humans have started controlling and managing and directing. In nature, is nobody directs. The sun shines, the soil grows, the trees grow, and the rain comes, the clouds come. Nobody's controlling, telling clouds to come and put water here or there. If you don't come, you don't come. If you come, you come. You come too much, you come too much. Come too little, you come too little. Whatever happens, you accept. So this is how humans have to work. We have to take nature as our mentor.
Thank you.
What's your thoughts on hierarchy in religion, like in the Catholic Church and in monastic? Well,
In
what's
religion,
your thoughts?
hierarchy should be the least. The least. At least in politics, they don't claim to be spiritual.
Exactly.
But in religious tradition, like Catholic Church or Protestant Church or mullahs or whoever it is, there should be the least. That each church should be autonomous, and they should serve the community in a spiritual way as a place for welcoming and as our two pilgrims said, wedding and birth and death, and every Sunday people coming together sharing communion should be autonomous. Why you have to be controlled from Rome or Canterbury or somewhere far away? So I would say the moment church becomes centralized and organized, is no longer Christian, it's churchian. There's a difference between churchianity and Christianity. At the moment, we have more churchianity and very little Christianity. No dogma. Pilgrims and dogmas don't go together. No dogma, no dogmatic thinking. I talked about it. I said truth diversity, diversity of truths. You have to find your own truth. Pope doesn't tell you what is your truth. He can't. He can't from Rome. He can't establish what is truth for everybody. There's a control. Yes.
This vision of utopia of a small scale society and world.
Utopia.
It's a, isn't it? Or
Yeah.
vision at least.
Vision.
And long from
Yeah.
now.
Okay. Okay.
I share it in many ways, but I also think that when you have, if we get this society in the future where a lot of small scale and no big powers to control, then you also might end up having some small scale people come together who are not good people, like Danish Vikings, for instance, from my
Who?
country, who go out.
Vikings.
Yeah,
Okay.
go out and be violent and rob other small societies. And so, is it a force?
But Viking never had nuclear weapons.
Okay.
And this modern organized society like the United States and Russia and China, big societies, they have nuclear weapons. Viking never created Second World War, Third World War, First World War. These big wars these modern societies are doing. So we are no better, no more advanced, no more civilized than the Vikings. But at the same time, when Gandhi is saying have a small scale organization, not just small scale. He's saying non-violent small scale. No, if the Vikings had the principle of non-violence at the center of their life and their society, then there'll be no problem. So Gandhi is not saying the small is all, small is enough. Small is one factor in making society non-violent. But the principle of non-violence has to be supreme, doing no harm to other people. That's the first principle. So if they are small scale but doing harm to other people, that's not Gandhian. So first thing is to do no harm. And then how do you live without doing harm? Organize on a small scale. So and have a local economy. So local economy, self-governance, decentralized, non-violent, and well-being of all, Sarvodaya. All these principles have to be seen together, not just one principle of self-organizing small-scale communities without the idea of well-being for everybody and non-violence and local economy. So you have to take whole picture together, then it holds together. If you take just one idea without the others, then it doesn't hold together.
What about the family situation? How should the family organize itself? Father, mother, kids, cooking, cleaning the house. How do you see that? Dividing the rooms.
Yes, I think all the housework in Gandhian ashram, which was the family, men, women, families together, all the work was shared. Mahatma Gandhi was cooking. He was every morning he was grinding flour to make bread, fresh flour. So in the family, like my family, my wife and I and our two children, when our two children were at home, we say we will all cook together and we'll do until washing up is done, cook meal is not finished. So children have to be there doing washing up. Somebody's washing up, somebody's drying up, somebody's cleaning the table, somebody's putting things away. We all do together. So in the family, housework should be done together. And then in our work, my wife and I edited magazine together, and we edited books together. So intellectual work should be shared, and physical work should be shared. Why we should say that husband will do the intellectual work and wife will do the cooking and gardening? That's not Gandhian. Gandhi said, I will grind the flour every morning. Why my wife should grind the flour and not I? And his wife will make the butter in the morning and he will grind the flour, and then they will sit together. Somebody will chop the vegetables and other person will do the cooking. So they did together. So men and women in a Gandhian vision of society are 100% equal. There is no difference between men and women. There is no hierarchy between husband and wife. There are, if anything, wife should be, for men, wife should be higher. But in any case, men and women are equal.
Satish,
Yes.
could you talk a little bit about the sacred feminine and the importance to rescue the sacred feminine in this
Yeah.
times that we're living?
Sacred feminine. In Indian tradition, we say that everything comes from the mother. Mother is the highest principle. The soil is our mother, which gives birth to plants. Our mother gives birth to babies, children. So, mother principle is the highest principle. And so, because of that, feminine becomes a sacred feminine. So, so in that sense, uh, receptivity, listening, being a kind of meditation, All these are feminine principles, and they are sacred because they give us the spirituality. By listening, we are more spiritual because we are taking inwards. The inner landscape is deeper than the outer landscape. The vast ocean of within, and that's the feminine. Within is the feminine, is deeper and broader and vaster than the ocean outside. And so if we respect and revere and appreciate and recognize and celebrate this sacred feminine, then men, women both can develop their wholeness. So men can develop their feminine side, women can develop their masculine side, and then feminine and masculine can dance together. So if you take, for example, in Indian iconography, Shiva is made of half male, half female together, half male, half female. So that's a complete being. So we can develop, we are all half male, half female, whether you're men or women. And so if you bring those two together and develop your whole personality, which is masculine and feminine, dancing together, then I think you can embrace the sacred feminine. One more question before you have party. Yes.
A friend who used to go join protest march. No,
Protest march.
march. Yes,
Who?
they march sometimes against government cut.
Okay.
But when he goes there, he end up feeling even more angry, and he's surrounded by people who are feeling angry. He came back feeling even more angry and less peace, and he feels this is not right.
This is not right.
Yes, but we were saying, but then how can we voice our
Yeah.
opinion?
So when you are Gandhian way, so Gandhi protested, Martin Luther King protested, Nelson Mandela protested, but they protested without anger, without hatred, without animosity. Mahatma Gandhi said, the British are not my enemies. British people, white people, English people, they can stay in India as the citizens of India, as my brothers and sisters, as much they like. Nobody needs to leave India, he said. Only thing I want is that the system must not be the colonial system, the industrial system. Um, this colonizing and taking the wealth from India to England and suppressing Indian people, that is what I want to change. And if it was not the colonial British, but it was Indians exploiting Indians and ruling over Indians and making Indians poor, I will protest the same. It's not that I'm only against the white people, even the brown people, the Indian people were exploiting other Indians, I will be against and I'll be protesting. So he was not angry against the British, he was only protesting against the system. So you are not against, that's one big difference. You are not against any people. You are not against white people in America when Martin Luther King was protesting. Uh, um, Nelson Mandela was not against white people in South Africa. Mahatma Gandhi was not against British people in India. They were against the apartheid system or racial discrimination system or the colonial and imperial system. So when you are against system, you are not angry against people. You want to change the system. So you want to make those people who are running that system your friends. You want to make them your ally to change the colonialism, change the imperialism. So thousands of British people joined Mahatma Gandhi in England, like Bertrand Russell and many, many others, Fenner Brockway, many, many others. Thousands of people said, we must make India independent because this colonial system is not good. Imperial system is not good. Thousands of white people in America joined Martin Luther King and said, this racial discrimination is not good. We are white people, we don't like this racial discrimination. Thousands of white people in South Africa joined Nelson Mandela. This apartheid is not good. So you are not against white people or British people or English people. You are against the system. And you want to make those people who are running the system your friends and your allies and to have your colleagues to work together to change the system. It's not changing against British, it's changing colonialism, imperialism. So then you don't need anger. With anger, 1 day, 2 days, then what? You can't live an angry life for 30 years, 40 years, for every day. You can't. So you have to be calm, you have to have patience, you have to be very kind, you have to be loving. So Martin Luther King said, I love white people. What I don't love is their racial discrimination. Mahatma Gandhi said, I love British people, but what I don't like is this colonial and imperial system. So you can love people and you can protest against their system. So there's a big difference. So you can practice non-violence, you can practice compassion, you can practice kindness, you can practice love, even when you are protesting against the system. That was the example of Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and many such great teachers. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So who's somebody opening the door?